little time to prepare and lick our wounds from last night's tough loss, but we're going to try our best to make sure we're prepared for MidAmerica Nazarene. Top 10 team in the country most of the year. Still, from a talent standpoint, top 10 in the team in the country for sure. They're ranked right around 15th right now, and we've got to go there, and we've got to find a way to play with more energy and more enthusiasm and do things a lot better than we have in our last 3 games. We've been fortunate enough to win 2 of the last 3, but I felt like we kind of zombied through all 3 games, and last night it caught up to us against Evangel in a tough loss. But, you know, like I said, that's what happens this time of year. The finish line is in sight, but we're not there yet. There's a lot of meat left on the bone as far as the season goes. There's a lot of quality teams to play. It starts here with MidAmerica Nazarene as we go through these last 4 games. And it's important for us to find a way to put last night behind us, figure out a way to put together a game plan and a scheme and a scouting report to give us the best chance to win there in Olathe. No question that MNU starts with Kelsey Balcom. She was MVP of the league last year. This is a big-time player. She's a big-time Division II player before transferring to MMU. Kelsey is... She's a matchup nightmare because she's too big and strong for most guards, and she's too quick and athletic for most forwards. And so she presents a number of challenges. She can shoot the ball to the line and even beyond the line when needed. But she's their go-to player, and she's the person that we need to limit. And it'd be nice to try to pick up some fouls on her early. Even though she's very smart and doesn't foul a ton, that would be very helpful. She shoots a high percentage from the floor. She's always moving. She's a big-time hard worker. She's one of the best, if not the best player in the league. And so it starts and stops with Kelsey, and we've got to make sure we've got a couple people ready to defend her and be ready to work as hard as she does. And then you go inside with one of the best forwards in the country, a kid that's in the top 3 in the country in field goal percentage, and Darius Sprue, number 45. This kid's just a junior, has put up big numbers her first 2 years there. They're using her even more this year. And she's just a tremendous rebounder, both offensively and defensively. We've got to get a body on her. We've got to make sure that we're trying to make her uncomfortable in the post, Xing her as much as possible. And the most important thing is getting a body on her. We've got to block her out big time. Megan Balcom is Kelsey Balcom's little sister, sophomore shooting guard. Puts up big numbers from outside the arc, their best three-point shooting threat. She's really improved her game this year by going off the bounce and getting inside the three-point line and making some of those shots. But she definitely is much more comfortable taking the three. We need to make sure we don't lose her. Need to make sure we go away space and have a hand in her face. Last year we did a pretty good job on her in the first 2 games in the regular season, but in the tournament she single-handedly just early on took us out of the game, and then we did a better job in the second half on her, but it was too late. She's shooting 40% or 37% from behind the arc, and this is a kid we want to make sure we try to make her put on the floor, try to make sure she's shooting tough twos. And then Rachel Bone, left-handed guard, senior, playing hard. This kid is her transition kid, deceivingly athletic, super smart, and 2 really close losses to them, that one this year and one last year. She's been the kid to come down and double up and get us a jump ball, for them. And so this is a kid that works hard all the time, can shoot the three, and really is the key cog to their transition game, which is a big part of what they do. The other thing which makes Bone special is not only is she smart, but she's also a 90% free throw shooter. So you have to make sure that we're not making any silly fouls and taking care of business there. And then the last kid we want to mention, and you mention a lot when you talk about MMU because they have a ton of depth, and there's some kids that we're not even going to mention that are certainly on our radar and on our scouting report, but their point guard, Palou, number 4, she's heart and soul of that team, Energizer Bunny, always plays with tremendous passion, something that we can learn from with her. Doesn't do a lot of scoring, but since our first game has raised her shooting percentage nearly 28, 29%. Teams like us and other teams had sagged off on her, and she made us pay in our first matchup. And I think she's, as a senior, just really peaking at the right time and becoming a better shooter at this point in her career has made her that much more dangerous. She's the key also with Bowen to their transition attack. She's going to kick it up the floor quickly to the open man, and they run. John does a great job in their transition attack, and if they get looks in transition, they're real dangerous. If we can get them into a half court, they're still very talented, but not near as dangerous as in the full court situation. So, the last 3 games, including last night, our effort hasn't been tremendous. We've run into teams that are playing much harder than we are and much smarter than we are. And tomorrow, if we get outworked, it's going to get ugly. If we want to work hard, we have a great chance to win because of the way they play. They crash the glass relentlessly. They face cut relentlessly. They work extremely hard to run the floor, and that's dangerous. we've got to make sure that we're a little more assignment sound than we've been in the last couple games. We let Irvine kid had a really nice game, but went off for 28. We put it at the free throw line 9 times. That's not very smart defense. We've got to be better and more assignment sound there. Again, these are a little bit of the dog days, and you've got to find a way. Even though the finish line's in sight, there's still a lot of games there, and we've got to find a way to keep our eye on the prize one game at a time and collect some of these wins to see where it puts us for a postseason seed in the tournament, conference tournament. We've got to win the offensive board battle. We've got to do a better job than we have been lately of not only getting the offensive boards, but finishing and getting some easy putbacks and maybe trying to pick up some fouls. But I think we have some things about what we can do to exploit some things. I think our athleticism could bother them. I think in the half court we might have an advantage. We tend to maybe be a little better in the half court, but we're at their place. They've only lost 3 or 4 games all year long for a reason. They've only lost 2 league games all year long for a reason, and we're going to have our hands full, and we've got to play assignment sound basketball. We've got to play much hungrier than we have been. We've got to play with much more passion. I mean, nothing great has ever been accomplished without enthusiasm, and we need a great win, so we better find some enthusiasm.